So we start with what I jokingly call the most historic mural in Almaty, which is, I think, from 2008. It's on the corner of Forum Nova and Kurmangazi.
Okay.
There's a German Kazakh university there, and across the corner there's a German restaurant called Frau Yerma.
That's
and
right.
on the wall there's this picture of this guy with a green apple.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And it's called Отец Яблок, something like that. Right. And that was the first Akimat approved mural to be made in the city since the era of Soviet monumental art, which we can talk about later. So that was all because curators like Vlad Slutsky, who I know was on your show, right, said, we believe in public art. We believe Almaty needs to have public art. And they just stubbornly got permission to paint this giant mural on that.
How long does it take? How big is the team to actually produce a mural like that?
Well, usually it's just a 1, 2, 3 artists who get a cherry picker truck and do it for a few days to put it up.
A few days to complete the whole thing.
It blows my mind how they do it. Because I was also talking to Salih Suleimanova recently because we're including one of her murals in a tour I'm doing. And she said, well, the tricky part is that when you're up there painting, you can't really see what you're painting, right? Yeah. Normally, if an artist is working with a canvas, he kind of dabs and then he steps back, right?
Yes.
But when you're on a giant cherry picker, you can't do that. So she said, she worked with her husband, Kwanish. She said Kwanish was like my right hand. And I would say, go to the left, go to the right. And it becomes this kind of team effort to try to figure it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's very, very impressive.
Do they sketch before painting it, or?
There might be some people who do that. I know with Soviet style art, they would first put up what they call, I'm forgetting the word. First, you make a design called a cartoon, which is a full scale sketch. And then you can go in and you can kind of make this outline on the building and you can use that to design the mural.
Yeah. And do you have to approve the theme with Akimat beforehand?
Yeah. And this is kind of the dark side of street art in Kazakhstan, is that if it started from these underground roots and it started from very talented young creators who were just making whatever they wanted, it's been adapted basically by Akimats as basically just another outlet for really lame propaganda, or not even propaganda, just like really boring.
Sort of like a lowest
works.
Common denominator kind of stuff.
Just like, it's the year of Abai, so we have to put murals of Abai in every city.
I see.
It's like, fine, I like Abai as much as anybody, but just a mural with a portrait of somebody is not interesting. It's not telling us anything interesting. It's not stylistically interesting, right? And most importantly, murals and public art like that, they have to be integrated with the architecture in the right way. And when you just put up a big face of somebody, like, when you go to Al-Farabi and there's Al-Farabi like on the building and he's just kind of staring at you, like it just doesn't work. It's unsettling.
It's too on the surface, right? So it's too straightforward.
Yeah.
No subtle. Any other murals worth mentioning apart from that one?
So as a counterpoint to that, a couple interesting ones along that same street where we start, Kurmangazi. One is that's on Kurmangazi and Pushkina, which was done by a British artist named Fanakapan, where it's these big shiny mylar balloons, these silver balloons, and they spell out QZ. But they've been made in this this kind of 3D style that really works, because the building itself is this very kind of drab gray khrushchevka, and then you have these shiny balloons that seem like they're floating off the building, and it really kind of brings in the viewer. The thing is with that one, it's this artist where he always uses these shiny balloons in his works and he spells things out with them. But here, nobody can figure out what he was spelling out. It's supposed to say QZ, but everybody thinks it says Oz. Yeah.
Interesting.
And then another interesting one is on Kurmangazi and Tulubayeva, where it was done by a Belarusian artist. And it's of this young girl who's playing with crayons, doing a drawing, and she's drawing petroglyphs.
I saw that.
Yeah. And I thought that one was super clever for a couple of reasons. One, the perspective. The artist often uses these kind of heads-on perspectives. So again, it kind of takes you out, and stylistically, it's really interesting. But the artist, said in an interview that petroglyphs are like the original street art,
That's a good
it
point.
goes back to that same original impulse to just want to leave your mark and tell some kind of story. And then
It's the OG of street art.
it's ancient street art, right? And then here's this girl who is getting in touch with that kind of ancient visual tradition of her ancestors, which I think is beautiful.
Any mural art ideas you have, which you would recommend? I don't know, if you were brainstorming with artists.
Well, for one thing, if you are going to do murals of historic figures, I think that there should be more women represented. Because when you count up the number of monuments and murals in Kazakhstan that are dedicated to men, it's 97% of the works.
Which women would you highlight?
There's that great Instagram account, Women of KZ, and I think I would defer to them for their expertise, because in any field, right, brilliant women have worked, and it's not just cultural figures, but brilliant scientists, brilliant mathematicians, all of them deserve their due. But just to feel like there's more representation, I think would speak to the 50% of the population here that is women. They would like to see that.